Ciao a tutti, we're at day 30 of our wine quarantine. Very exciting part 2 of our trip through Barbaresco. Yesterday we talked about Barbaresco's history, the territory, the soil formations. Today we're going to be digging deeper into the concept of the single vineyards, right? So the single vineyard bottlings are a recent phenomenon in Barbaresco. The first ones appear in the 1960s, but it's really not until the 1980s when it becomes a more common thing in Barbaresco. In 2007, Barbaresco introduces before Barolo, the concept of MGAs, or Menzioni Geografiche Aggiuntive, the single vineyard concept. We have 66 in Barbaresco, of which some of the major ones are definitely Asili, Rabaia, Martinenga, Ovello, Gallina, and there's many other great ones. Now, if we take an hypothetical trip throughout the territory of Barbaresco, starting with the town of Barbaresco itself, right here on the western side, first and foremost, the wines from Barbaresco tend to be the most balanced. The soils are richer in clay and limestone with less sand, and the three grand crus of mention from Barbaresco are Asili, Rabaia, and Martinenga. Asili being the steepest, with the south-facing vineyards, where the wines tend to be more austere and elegant. Rabaia, instead of southwestern exposure, warmer conditions, wines are fleshier and richer. Martinenga, there is an east to west vineyard that touches both Asili and Rabaia. The wines can be reminiscent of one or the other depending upon where vineyards are located. Now, if we move to the east and we go towards the beautiful town of Neve, where Castello di Neve is located, the wines from this area tend to be the most powerful and full-bodied, with more sand in the soils. And the crus of great mentions are definitely going to be Santo Stefano, the Grand Cru, where the wines are very deep, complex, luscious, but also balanced. Albesani, which wraps itself around Santo Stefano, where the wines are going to be also very balanced, but of early appeal. And then right south of Albesani, there is Gallina. Gallina is a cru where the wines are really rich, thick, chunky, probably not the most typical of Barbaresco, but very interesting and very good quality Barbaresco. And then to the southwest of the town of Neve, we also encounter two other very important crus, such as Cotta and Currà. Now, let's travel a little further south towards the town of Treviso, and Treviso is the coolest of the towns of Barbaresco, where the wines tend to be steely, higher in acidity. As a matter of fact, here there's a lot of plantings of Dolcetto, being Dolcetto an early ripener that doesn't mind these colder conditions, so the wines overall, they're definitely more austere. Now, within the territory of Treviso, the vineyards worth a mention, they're both located west of Treviso, being Pailloré and Rombone. Pailloré, these are wines of great power, depth, and complexity, versus Rombone, where the vineyards are lower lying. The wines are definitely more earthy, tannic, and compact on the palate. And lastly, we enter the small part of San Rocco Senodelvio, part of Barbaresco, which is considered to be the area where the wines are the most of early appeal, less complexity, softer mouthfeel, but there are two vineyards worth a mention. There are Montersino and Meruzzano, which are shared between the territory of San Rocco Senodelvio and Treviso. So today I wanted to show you a wine that I think really truthfully represents the category of Barbaresco, and it is Barbaresco by Bruno Giacosa in its Azienda Agricola Falletto. This is a 2008. This is a wine made with vineyards that are southwestern exposure, spends quite a bit of time in wood, 18 months in large casks and 8 months in the bottle. And then we look at the color. So the color of Barbaresco, logically, this is, as I mentioned, in 2008. It's got this beautiful garnet color with a very beautiful orange rim, right? So let's take a sniff, because I'm sure this wine is going to be pretty impressive on the nose. There's an incredible bouquet of flowers. This is like roses, violet, slightly dried out, that's for sure, but there's also tobacco. Beautiful forest floor, dried out leaves, very present. Mushroomy quality. Then there's a leather element. So it's a bouquet that is very ample, very broad, very generous on the nose, really delivers a lot. Let's take a sip. The tannins are fantastic, very well integrated, silky, very velvety, smooth. So the wine still has fantastic dryness on the palate, definitely plenty of longevity. It's a wine that can go ahead for another 10-15 years, no problem. Really great representation of Barbaresco. That's all for today. In alto I cuori. Ciao!